Chapter 4 The Adventure of the Wood of Beasts. The Hall of the Glowing Heart stood in the depths of the Valley of Toil, a place of comfort and desire in a too cheerless land. In the well-tended garden grew the tree with the leaves of healing, the many precious herbs of ease, and all those blooms whose beauty and perfume cheer the soul of man. In the midst stood the hall, with the emblem of the great king above the door for all to see. To many a tired eye and wounded spirit, this was the fairest sight that the valley could show. The lord of the hall was the noble Amycus, who found his joy in serving the king by serving his people. The emblem was the master key to all he had, from the plenty of his table to the richer treasures of his heart. Nor was he poor in any good thing, for his deeds had long been known to the great king through those who had found harborage and healing within his doors. Therefore had the lord of the hall been daily enriched by the royal favor, in wealth of soul and estate, and in the precious balm of happiness. Giving freely of all that he had learned that the great king will be no man's debtor. Sir Constant came to this place soon after his battle with the Black Knight, while his heart was still uplifted by his victory. He was welcomed with honor, and at first felt nothing but joy in the right noble company which had sought that day the hospitality of Amycus. Yet ere the evening was past, his joy was overclouded, and peril lay about his path once more. Among the guests that day were two famous knights of the Splendid way. One of these was the aged and gallant Sir Valorous, whose face was lined with the wear of years, and whose hair was snowy white, but whose eye had the light of eternal youth. If his strength had sunk with time, this loss was well repaid by the skill in the use of arms, and there was no knight more to be feared in battle, more to be trusted in the thorny way of leadership. Sir Constant looked upon him with reverence, but not without self-abasement, for when he had heard that good knight's story, small indeed seemed his own endeavours. Moreover, Sir Valorous was a cousin of his own lord, Sir Fortis, a second claim to love and worship. But there was also at the house of Amycus another knight of renown, Sir Felix of the Clean Heart. He was a knight of such purity and power that perils which had broken other men held little dread for him. It was said that his shield had never been dimmed, and there was a glory in his face as of one who saw his king always, and knew his most sacred counsels. He had been given at last the governance of a great city, and was now on his way to his post, resting at the Hall of the Glowing Heart with the friend whose comradeship he had ever loved. By the will of all he sat at the right hand of Amycus, honored for his own sake and his king's. Of all who sat and honored him, none were more generous at the first than Constant, who loved Sir Felix for the glory of his face, and for the greater glory he had won in the royal service. But while he sat and watched him, there came to his ear a whisper, gentle and low but deadly clear. "Some good knights come by great honours with wondrous ease," said the whisperer. And when the knight turned to see, he found that the speaker was a knight squire, fair and quiet of mien, clad in a green tunic and armed with a dagger. In that moment he spoke and was gone, lost among the servitors at the door, but he left his whisper in our good knight's ear, and thereafter the feast was tainted with bitterness. This bitterness remained throughout the night, and did not depart with the coming of day. He had therefore no heart to meet Amycus and his guests, and resolved to leave before he should see them. So when he had armed himself, he sought the steward, and by him sent words of farewell and gratitude to his host and the knights of the fellowship. When this was done, he took once more the road through the valley. But an hour later the steward sought his master to tell him of this, and another matter, whereupon Amycus hasted to find Sir Valorous and Sir Felix, who were preparing to depart. "I am troubled greatly," he said. "Sir Constant set out an hour ago, and I fear that he may encounter sore peril by the way." "How may this be?" cried Sir Valorous. "Is there any aid that we may give? For I loved the young knight much, and would have companied with him." "What I dread," said Amycus, "is the cunning of the evil brood of the Black Knight. They have holds in this region, and it is said that one of them was in this house but yesterday, standing near Sir Constant while he sat at table. He had a disguise of harmlessness, but my servants declare that they marked him well. I fear that Sir Constant may be waylaid. The two knights called for their arms. "We will go together," said Sir Felix. "The duty were plain even if there were no joy in it, but I also loved Sir Constant, and could not wish a better comrade." Then Amycus went to a cabinet of precious things, and took therefrom a small phial. "Here is elixir," he said, "which we distill from the goodly herbs in our garden. It is most potent for comfort and healing. If that young knight be in need, give him of this in the king's name." "In the king's name," said Sir Valorous reverently, and he placed the vial in his bosom.